Good morning. Welcome. Thank you guys so much for being here. My name is Felicia from SweetGeorgia Yarns and also the School of SweetGeorgia. This is the live office hours for September, and we do these live sessions once a month at the end of every month, the last Thursday of every month, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And this is a time for me to catch up with everybody in the School of SweetGeorgia, and we're going to talk about things that have happened inside the community forums, things that you guys have been sharing, all the successes and wins that you've been having. And we're also going to talk a little bit about what is coming ahead in the coming months. And I get this time to sort of share with you all the things that we are planning. And so I'm really, really thankful that you guys are all here today. I can see you in the chat. I see Lynn, Cherry, Brenda, Bridget, Joe, Elena, Greta, Laureline, Pearl, Robin. Thank you so much for being here today. It's nice to see you guys all here. So we have actually always lots and lots of things to talk about. If you can't stay for the entire session, it's totally fine. We always record all of these sessions so that we can post them inside the school and you can reference them later whenever you have more time. So thank you. I got them in Hawaii. I like these earrings too. Wonderful. Okay, so let me share with you what I have on the board today. Okay, so here we go. This is the agenda for today. This is what we're looking at. And yeah, generally I share a little bit about what's going on right now. We talk about what's coming up in the school. We talk about the upcoming events that are happening in the school as well. And I'll share some stuff about the community, where we can connect and where we can chat and things like that. Usually I save a section for Q&A in case you guys have questions that you've submitted to me that you want me to answer during these times. But we don't have any Q&A today because a lot of the questions I've seen have all been answered in the forums. So if you ever have a question about something that you're working on or learning, I really, really encourage you to check out the forums, maybe search the forums and see if your question has already been answered. There's a lot of information there. And finally, the most important part is to share your wins, the things that you guys have been making and the amazing successes there. So I'm really, really excited about that. So this is sort of what is top of mind. And the very first thing I just want to mention, in case you haven't seen our messages or our emails, is that yes, on October 1st, we are increasing all of the prices for the membership dues. And this is like the first time we've ever done an increase since we started in 2017. So that is about 6 years now. So it's about 6 years. And so this is the first time we're doing that. And so if you want to stay at the price that you are currently at, you just, continue on as per normal, you renew, all of that stuff is fine. This price increase is really just for people who are joining us brand new. So that would be after October 1st. So just a quick reminder about that. The next thing I wanted to mention about top of mind is where we have recently been. And so what I wanted to say first is just welcome to a lot of new members. In the past couple of months, August and September, we had a lot of new people join the school. A lot of new people a lot of people returning to the school as well. And so I just want to welcome you guys here. If this is your first time coming to a live office session, I'm really, really glad that you are here as well. But I wanted to welcome you to what this is. This is a learning community. The whole idea is this is going to be sort of an ongoing journey to help support you in the things that you are making and learning. Now, I wanted to share a couple of snapshots here from where we were just at this past weekend, which was Knit City in Vancouver. And we are very, very lucky as SweetGeorgia. We have our vendor booth at the show, this sort of consumer fiber festival show, but we also have the opportunity to host this lounge, this Knit City lounge. And it's kind of a lounge that we placed this year. We worked with the organizers and placed it right in the middle of the entire market. And we were really lucky that we could have the whole thing strung with string lights. It was just a really beautiful, cozy space. And you can see here in this photo here, this is where we were having demonstrations and some chats and some meetups and some talks with some of our spinning instructors from the School of SweetGeorgia. So there's actually Kim McKenna is in there demoing, Rachel Smith is in there. You can see Diana Twiss is in there a little bit, and Greta is also there. But there's a lot of SOS members who are there as well, and also people who are interested in learning more about the fiber arts. So I discovered I discovered that there was actually a number of people who were coming up to me, seeing the lounge and seeing these wheels and the e-spinners and things like that and saying, this is the first time I've ever seen a wheel. This is the first time I've ever seen a loom. And so what we were trying to do is really working on ways to provide more access to a lot of this fiber arts equipment. People never really having the opportunity to see or touch any of these things in person. So just trying to create more exposure, more awareness, more accessibility for all of these things. And this is just overall, we're really, really just committed to serving and supporting all of the members in this community, helping you through whatever it is that you want to make and learn. So I have more photos from the weekend because it was actually quite cool. So this is actually Rachel Smith is demonstrating how to use a lock pop to flick open the sort of staples of fleece to work with. And she's explaining which side to spin from and all things like that. And then I also have a photo here of this is Kim McKenna here on the right-hand side, and she is demonstrating her very, very incredible technique of using things like hand cards to help prepare the fiber for spinning. And the way that she prepares this, we've shown this in videos and courses with Kim McKenna, but she prepares the fiber in such a way that the fiber is perfect. It's beautifully aligned. It's smooth. It's like butter. And then when you go to spin it, it makes absolutely the most gorgeous, smooth, beautiful yarn. So it's a really wonderful way to prepare the fiber. And so she's demonstrating this for this very captive audience. So I was really, really happy to see all of that. Then we also had I have here Diana Twist and Greta on the left-hand photo. And so Diana was also spinning pretty much throughout the weekend and, introducing spinning to a lot of brand new spinners and things like that. And then she also did a demonstration demonstrating some of the things that she's taught in the color play class. So things like being able to blend just primary colors, red, blue, yellow, with a little bit of black, maybe a little bit of white, and then testing and sampling, just making a tiny little hand carded bat puff of fiber and then spinning that on a drop spindle and then seeing if that's the effect that you like. And just she was teaching this idea of sampling, testing and sampling before you go and spin 100 grams of fiber or something like that. And then on the right hand side here, we also had Jana Maria from Everly Textiles came and she was doing a little tapestry weaving party and she was demonstrating on some of the looms that she has handmade herself. Some of these beautiful walnut looms that she's made by hand. And so, yeah, it was just a really warm and wonderful weekend to see everybody together and learning all of these things and all the things that you can do with yarn. Yeah, it was wonderful. So if you came by to say hi, thank you for coming to say hi. It was really, really lovely. Now, to share with you a little bit about what we are thinking for the coming year. I can't believe that we are already working on 2024. We have classes actually already filmed and all these kinds of things for 2024, but we are working on a big grand master plan for the whole year, like a calendar plan for the whole year, where we release those classes that we've already planned and already filmed and are already in post-production. We're planning the releases of those courses so that they can coincide and align better on this giant calendar that we're preparing. So one of the things that we talk a lot about is how we're trying to help everybody feel successful. We want everybody to feel accomplished what they're making. But sometimes I feel like offering too many bits of inspiration, too many projects, too many things going on can be a little bit counterproductive in some ways. I think that in some ways it can almost paralyze people and be like, there's too many ideas. I don't know what to pick. And so I'm not going to do anything. And I'm just going to watch. And so one of the main focuses that I have right now for 2024 is to try to align everything. So everything that we do between the school of Sweet Georgia which is where we're creating a lot of the content for learning, and then also Sweet Georgia Yarns, which is where we're making hand-dyed yarn and things like that. And I feel like in the past, they have led somewhat parallel but separate lives. And so one of the challenges has been that, sometimes we'll be having something going on with Sweet Georgia. We're doing a knit along, we're doing a mystery knit along, we're doing something on the yarn side of things, but then it doesn't always align with what we're doing in the school side of things. And then people who are interested in both feel torn about what they should do and where they should go. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to align and sort of consolidate everything onto one calendar, so that we can all be on the same page and we can all be doing the same things. So that is one of the goals. So, like I said, we're going to try to create this year-long plan of themes and content releases and combining that with the make-alongs and the study groups. And so each month we're going to try to align everything across Sweet Georgia and School of Sweet Georgia. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to release this year-long plan in the next couple of weeks. And we can talk about this again at the November live office hours. But it's really, I want to give it to you ahead of time so that you have time to sort of plan and think about it and let these ideas percolate a little bit. And the goal really is to kind of spread the crafts out throughout the year. So that way, I've talked a lot about this multi-craftual maker side of us and the seasons of craft, like not necessarily doing all the things all the time, but like if you're a spinner, maybe you're spinning intensely for 1 or 2 or 3 months out of the year. And then at other times of the year, maybe you're using your handspun and you're like intensely focused on knitting with that. So like we progress through these different seasons of craft. And so this calendar is hopefully going to also help all of us do that as well. And so far you can see like my rough plan, which is to be finalized, is that starting in January, we would kick this off with kind of a planning session, do this together as a planning session, think about what it is that you want to make. And then we will have sort of these times of the year, which I would like to see become more like a routine every year. So like if say March is the time that we all focus on four shaft weaving, then every year we'll do something in March about four shaft weaving, whether it's you're starting with four shaft twill, or maybe you're doing overshot on four shafts, or maybe you're starting to play with blocks on four shafts or something like that. But we're kind of going to work through that. Um, or if you have more shafts on your loom, maybe it might be like some people are working on double weave on four shafts for the first time, but maybe you want to try doing double weave with a twill weave structure on 8 shafts or something like that. So kind of focusing our time and our ideas around certain times of the year. So I have here, yeah, January's planning, there's spinning in that first quarter, weaving in that first quarter, and then spring would be something to do with knitting and designing, learning how to design your own patterns, working on some crochet ideas and dyeing courses. Summer would be spinning with Tour de Fleece, which happens every July anyway. So we're all kind of spinning in July. And then, using that time in August, a lot of people are going on holidays. A lot of people are, off with their kids and things like that. But August is actually a really good time to start preparing to knit all the sweaters that you might want to wear in the fall. Because if you start a sweater in September, it would be, well, I don't know, for me, it would take me a bit of time to finish that sweater and I don't get to wear it right away. So if you start in August, it might be good timing. So in any case, that's kind of where we're thinking. Fall is, of course, October is October. We want to do a focus in a separate time of the year on focusing on rigid heddle weaving. So we want to spread these out so that like weaving on a 4-shaft loom or weaving on a multi-shaft loom would happen around March-ish, and then weaving on rigid heddle looms might happen around November-ish, and that would be when we would focus once a year on just rigid heddle weaving. So that's something that we want to do. And then holiday December bake-along, like small things, little things, that kind of thing. Just a way to have a nice meditative time. So that is kind of what the rough idea is for next year. And I'm curious if this actually helps you, if you're thinking about this. And so part of the goal is that people are not going to necessarily, I'm hoping that you're not going to feel overwhelmed with having to participate in every single thing. So if your focus right now in the school is you really want to become a really good spinner, then maybe the times that you're spinning with us are like February, Q1 kind of February time, and then maybe July is really, really intense moments of like learning how to spin. And all of the other months, you're still experimenting, you're still making all the things that you want to make. But as a school and as a community, these are the things that we're going to focus on during those times. So in any case, that is what I am looking at for 2024. I would love to hear feedback on this. So if you have thoughts or questions or ideas, I encourage you to actually message me inside the community. So We have our community forums, which is where I'll show you where all of that is, and then you guys can hopefully put some messages in there. But there's also sort of an inbox message function in the community side of things. So you can actually send me a direct message about any of these things if they are inspiring you to have some new ideas about things for next year. So that is what I wanted to share there. Let's talk about what's coming next. So the first thing that is coming next is Two at a Time Socks. This is a class that we filmed with Tabitha earlier this year. Tabitha is our design director at SweetGeorgia, and this was knitting 2 at a time socks using the magic loop technique. And so we have this filmed. It is coming out on October 5th. All the classes are going to come out on October 5th. And as part of that, there is a re-release of this pattern here, which is the one shown in the photo. It's called prismatic socks, and it's kind of a lacy pattern. It's like this billowing lacy sort of pattern. It's really, really pretty. And so you can use this pattern as part of Socktober if you want to practice any of these techniques, or if you just want to knit these pair of socks. They're really pretty as well. So yeah, it is a really, really gorgeous sock pattern called prismatic socks. And I would love to see this done in all sorts of different yarns. Yes, yes, yes. I would love to see your socks in Socktober. So that is all coming up in October. October is the celebration of hand knit socks. So many things about socks. So in any case, we have sock courses from the very beginning where it's knitting your first ever top-down pair of socks, cuff-down socks. They're called custom top-down socks. And so that is basically about being able to measure your foot and then do all the calculations to figure out how many stitches do you need, how do you knit a sock, what's the anatomy of a sock. When you start from the top, you knit the leg, and then you turn the heel, you knit a foot, then you knit a toe, all of that kind of stuff. And then we also have a course on knitting toe up socks. So if you cast on from the toe, and then you knit the toe, you knit the foot, you turn the heel again, you knit the leg, and then you finish with the cuff. So the opposite direction. And in this case, this 2 at a time socks is to knit 2 socks at the same time on a long circular needle that you use for magic loop technique. And you could theoretically knit 2 at a time toe up or top down, either way. So there's lots and lots of things to be able to do. And then we also have other sock classes about different kinds of toes and different kinds of heels. And so there's a lot of sock knitting content if that is your thing. So I encourage you guys to check that out in the school if you are interested in knitting socks. The next thing we have is we do have a class with Caitlin Shepherd, and she goes by Plucky Pigeon Knits if you find her on Ravelry. And this is a class about knitting colorwork, and specifically knitting these colorwork mitts, which are so, so lovely. I have shown in previous live office hours sessions, there's another photo where it's a light color, I think it's birch, and then there is a red, sort of like a magenta kind of color as the color work for these mitts, but this is a different variation. And so you've got a little bit more of the warm, earthy, neutral kind of colors going on in here, but also super, super lovely. So this class is going to be coming out November 23rd. And yeah, very excited to see all of the mitts that might come out of this. Imagine mitts with handspun, mitts with gradient yarn, mitts with lots lots of different options. Yeah, I'm really excited to see those. And this one is so cute. So there are there are so it's so cute. I have a lot of really lovely photos that I love from this particular course. So this is a course that Charlotte is teaching about crochet amigurumi. And so Charlotte, if you have followed any of the crochet content from the very beginning, Charlotte has taught all of the crochet content. She starts from the very beginning. This is how you make a chain stitch. This is how you do single crochet. This is how you do double crochet. And to this point, she has been teaching everything sort of flat. So, learning how to increase stitches, learning how to decrease stitches, how to make shapes, how to join motifs, all of these kinds of things. She's done a granny square class as well. And so this is the first time we're moving into sort of the three-dimensional aspects of crochet. So you can take crochet, and rather than knitting everything or crocheting everything flat or back and forth or anything like that, now you can start to build all of these different shapes. So these are adorable little robins. And so this course is going to come out December 7th. And next year, Charlotte still has more crochet stuff planned. We already in the works is crochet texture. So to make crochet patterns that look almost like knitted cables, that's one thing. So crochet textures. The other thing is learning to read crochet symbols and charts. So if you've ever come across any a lot of Japanese craft books are written in this way, where a lot of it is by diagrams and pictures and illustrations rather than written out text sort of instructions. And so if you look at a chart of crochet symbols, you can immediately visualize what it's supposed to look like. And then you kind of follow that diagram and then you make all the stitches and then you're able to produce this crochet pattern. So it's without language, just using these symbols, you can read lots of different things, lots of different patterns, lots of different ways of crocheting. So Charlotte's doing a class to explain all of that as well. So crochet content, we are building a ton of it from the very beginning and then going further into more and more advanced ideas. One of the things that we discovered this past year is this idea of being able to knit crochet color work in a way that it looks just like knitted color work, except it's a little bit thicker, it makes a thicker fabric, but it's very interesting. And so this might be on our radar as well for moving forward is crocheted color work. Sounds very cool. And then finally, we have another one that is coming out with Laura Fry. And so this course with Laura Fry, we're really looking forward to. This you can see is a sectional warp beam. And so this is a completely different way of warping and dressing your loom. And so Laura Fry, she's a master weaver here in Canada. She's taught a number of our weaving classes and she's written books about weaving. She's a long time blog about weaving. She's done an entire lecture series with us about sort of a lot of the nuances of weaving. She has been a professional weaver and teacher for more than 40 years, I believe. And so this class is really going to be cool. And I have heard from people who have told me that once you start sectional beaming, you will never go back to the other ways of beaming your warp. So if this is an option for you, it could be very cool. But in any case, what this is it's a sectional warp beam. Basically, you can see this warp beam has dividers about every inch or so. And so basically, as you are warping the loom, you are just warping 1 inch at a time. And so you wrap this back beam and you're just warping 1 inch at a time. And so it allows for you to do a lot of other things that aren't necessarily possible if you're trying to warp a very wide warp using traditional methods. So this is another way of looking at things. This class is going to come out November 2nd. I was very lucky to be there working on the set while Laura was teaching this. And so I got to practice some of these techniques with her supervision. It was really cool and learned a ton. And so, um, yeah, there's a lot of things that I want to share with you about that. I want to also show you this, which came out of that class. So these are 4 towels that were woven on the warp that I was dressing here. So you can see this is the color of the warp. You know, it's this kind of like sea foamy, kind of blue greeny kind of color going on here. And then as we use different weft colors, you're able to produce a whole bunch of different options. And so just changing the color of the weft has created all of these different towels. And so she talked about this in that last lecture. So Elena was just asking, has the lecture been posted? And Greta says, yes, it has been posted now. It is the color considerations lecture that Laura Fry gave earlier this month. And she talked about this idea of sister towels. So you can have one big long warp. Maybe you put on 10 yards, maybe 20 yards or whatever it is of one color warp. And then just by changing the colors of the weft, you can come up with all of these different options. So in this case, this top one, this purple one, was actually a really kind of shockingly sort of jammy purple color. And then when you overlap it with that seafoam color, it kind of mutes everything down and makes for this really, really lovely lilac-y kind of purple color. So this first towel was woven by Tabitha. And then the second towel here was woven by Anita at the studio. And so she used like a lime green color and then used a tutu twill. So you can see the diagonals of the twill. Tabitha was using plain weave here. This is a twill color here. I mean, twill pattern here. And then Greta, I believe Greta's favorite color is yellow. You may have noticed, but yes, Greta likes yellow. And so she used yellow 8-2 cotton for weft here and twill in the other direction. So you can see these diagonal lines running in the other direction. And then I used some turquoise hand-dyed 100% silk yarn because I had it lying around. It was kind of left over from previous projects, and I just wanted to test and see how it would do. And so the top 3 towels are all 8-2 cotton, but this last one here is silk, silk and cotton warp. And the feel of this fabric is significantly different. It's softer, it's more buttery, it's silk. It's nice. And so that one could be used for a really lovely scarf. So making that kind of fabric, and so if you consider if you had, say, like a 10-yard warp and you made some that became kitchen towels and then one that became a silk scarf, there's a lot of things that you can do with just one big long warp. So lots of things to think about, but that class is going to come out soon. So the next thing, let's talk about upcoming events. So this is the calendar for October. And so you can see, I mentioned this last time as well. We made a separate calendar for co-working sessions. So if you have been subscribing to the I don't know what it's called, iCal. There's a thing that you can subscribe to in order to subscribe to the calendars from the school community side, and it will bring all the calendar events into something like Google Calendar, so you can have it on your main calendar and then reference that. And all of the links to each of the Zoom calls and everything like that, those links will be also in the calendar event. So that makes it hopefully really, really nice and easy. Now, we made a separate calendar for co-working specifically, and so you can see those events in purple. So if you're finding that you've already subscribed to the SOS events and you're seeing, oh, there's no co-working sessions on my calendar, it's because we made a separate calendar, so you have to subscribe to that one too. So that's where the co-working sessions are, but you can see we have quite a number of them. So for the most part, I am hosting a Friday 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time co-working session pretty much every Friday, except for the one Friday, October 20th, when I'm going to be out of town. And then there's also a Thursday evening co-working session and also a Monday afternoon co-working session. So Thursday evening is with Charlotte, Monday is with Greta. And so these are all open times where you guys can come and hang out and all of that kind of stuff. I also have added one extra thing. So here, normally we have Monday crafternoons with Robin. Robin's on the chat here as well today. So Robin hosts the crafternoons on Mondays. Saturday, there's a crafternoon with Vicky. And all these crafternoons, you are more than welcome to bring whatever thing that you are working on and just hang out and chat with other members inside the school. So that is something that we do. And then Thursday, the last Thursday of every month, is this live office hours session that we host. And Fridays, the second Friday of every month, I do a live stream version of Taking Back Friday, which is kind of like, it's a thing that I do for the public side on YouTube. And we talk about all sorts of things that are happening inside Sweet Georgia and with yarn and all of that kind of stuff. And I added one thing. So Thursday, October 12th, I added a member welcome meetup. And we used to do these quite regularly. And then we decided that we created this orientation class, which was supposed to give everybody the information about how to find your way around the school and everything like that. So you can always reference the orientation class. But since I know that there are a lot of new members, there are a lot of people who are joining us again from the before, and we have made a lot of changes to the schools in the past year or two. And so if you would like, you can come and join us for this, which is a member welcome session. And normally what I do is I give a bit of an overview of the school, content, where to find everything, how to participate in various things, also the community side of things, and how to find your way around the community, how to make that work for you, and how to connect with other people. And so this is just a really, really nice moment to come and say hi. If you're brand new, tell me what you're interested in learning. And it's just a moment where we can kind of connect. And so that member meeting is going to happen on Thursday, October the 12th. I put it at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we are going to try something a little bit different. I've put the meeting on Google Meet instead of Zoom. There's a bit of, I don't know if you feel a bit of Zoom fatigue. And so I'm wanting to try this other platform and just to see how that works. But Google Meet is where it's going to be. And all of that information is going to be in the calendar event on the website. So I would love to see that. So Tracy's saying, I would love more activities or classes in the evenings. Yes. Yes. So we do have a few things that happen in the evenings, but I do also want to see if we can schedule a couple more things for evening times because it is difficult when people are at work and stuff like that. But for the most part, things like this, office hours, are recorded and they're archived in the website later. But yes, your feedback is well received. Thank you, Tracy. Yes. So I wanted to remind you guys about the co-working sessions that happen regularly. So basically, the co-working sessions are a virtual co-working session where we all get online, we get on Zoom at the same time, and we work on our projects silently. It's like silent reading time, but we're doing it together. And so basically what we've been doing is we get on about 5 minutes to kind of chat and catch up and share about what we're going to be working on. And then 50 minutes of quiet time of just working and everybody's on mute. And then 5 minutes where we reconvene at the end of the hour and just chat about, oh, what did you manage to get done? And was it good? And I am so thankful for these sessions because you can see the loom in the picture here. The loom in the picture here would not exist if we did not have these co-working sessions. I spent probably about 3 weeks, 1 hour, spread over these 3 weeks working on building this loom. Because when I first opened the loom, I discovered that it was all unfinished wood. And so I had to finish all of the pieces. And so I would like put one layer of varnish on 1 week, and then I came back, and the next week I put another layer of varnish on, and then the third week, then I build a loom, and then dressing the loom and winding the warp and all of these things. All of the things to do with that particular loom, which is the Ashford Brooklyn 4-shaft loom, everything that I did with that loom, I did during co-working sessions. And so I'm super thankful for these times because otherwise I would not have had time to make that. And so I appreciate everybody's company while I was building that as well. So these are the upcoming sessions that we have. Like I mentioned, Thursday nights with Charlotte, Fridays with me. The Friday, October 20th, will be with Vicky. And then Monday, October 23rd with Greta. And October 27th. Oh, sorry, that should be with me as well, October 27th. Yes. So those are some of the times where we can get together and meet. And people are bringing whatever project they're working on. So very often I will be bringing weaving things, but there are people who are crocheting, there are people who are spinning, there are people who are tapestry weaving. You bring whatever you like, and it's nice for just us to all sit together and do some stuff together. Now, what are we making right now? Right now, we are in the middle of September spin along. Actually, it's getting pretty close to the end of September, but we have been spinning a lot in September. And a lot of people are spinning with the intention of weaving, and other people are spinning with the intention of practicing different spinning yarn structures. Um, I've been playing with spinning all of these singles for making socks that I'm going to crank on the circular sock knitting machine. So there's a lot of different things that people are spinning for. And I'll share a bunch of things because they come up obviously in the Share Your Wins section. But you can see here, there's a couple of blog posts that Greta has written about spinning with us and preparing your fiber for spinning and how do you prepare your fiber for spinning. And so there's a lot of conversation about these blog posts, both in the community discussion forums and also on Discord. There's a lot of conversation on Discord right now. And so I'm seeing so many things crossing over, which is really, really fantastic. I'm seeing people spinning, people taking their yarn, trying to weave samples, weave pin loom samples. There's a lot of things going on, mixing and combining, taking your hand spun, knitting with it, lots of things like that. So if you are in the middle of spinning, yeah, please do post the things that you're making. We would love to see them in Discord. But spinning is what is pretty much what is happening right now. And so I think, yes, Greta has just posted the link to where those blog posts are. So thank you so much. So you can see my three braids here, Targhee, Targhee, and Corriedale. I have spun about 1/3 of one braid of Targhee, and then another braid is literally right here. And then the Corriedale I have not broken up yet, and it's partly because I was distracted by some other custom fiber that I recently received, and I wrote about it in the community forums, and I posted about it in the spin along thread. So yes, you can check that out there. The next thing that we are going to make is we're doing a weave along with Debbie Held. Debbie Held is one of our spinning instructors, and so she comes to us from Atlanta, Georgia. She's taught our spinning with e-spinners. She's taught the spinning textured yarns. We made a bunch of really cool textured yarns with Debbie, and then she's taught a number of spinning classes with us, you know, blending boards, making all these rollags, blending in colors, using mix-ins, lots and lots of fun things. And so because we're spinning all these fun yarns and colorful yarns and all these kinds of things, a lot of times when we're experimenting and trying and doing all these kinds of things, we end up with a lot of random little skeins of handspun yarn. And so this weave along is really focused on using a lot of your handspun scraps, pulling all of your handspun yarn together, and learning how to weave with the yarn that you've made. And we're doing this in the absolute simplest way possible. We're doing it with a rigid heddle loom. So what I would encourage you guys, if you are interested in doing a little bit of rigid heddle weaving with us, this is a November 1st to November 30th weave along. Debbie is going to use a 15-inch Cricut loom. Super, super simple, super easy. And you can do rigid heddle if you want. You could do 4-shaft loom if you want. So what I have is I actually put my handspun yarn on the Cricut loom, the 15-inch Cricut loom that we converted to the Shacked Quartet. So the Shacked Quartet is the conversion piece for the Cricut rigid heddle loom, which converts the rigid heddle loom into a 4-shaft loom. Sounds very confusing, but I will talk about that more later. But I've put my handspun yarn on that already, and really, really looking forward to playing with that. But yeah, if you want to come and read about those things, those are the blog posts that have been published so far about this weave along. So if you have a lot of handspun scraps, if you have a lot of handspun yarn, this is a really, really wonderful way to play with all those things. And I think it really can free you up to experiment more with the spinning, right? If you're not super worried about where it's all going to end up, you can use it in something that will become super gorgeous and beautiful. Like these handspun samples from Debbie are so, so pretty. And also she'll mention in the blog post too, when you work with your yarn and you see how does it behave in fabric, then it can make you have a better understanding of what decisions you made during the spinning process allowed you to create these things in the woven fabric or in a knitted fabric. And then you can go back when you spin your next lump of fiber, you can make different decisions that will then alter what your fabric will feel like at the end of the day. And so it's kind of like this iterative going back and forth, you know, spinning something, working with it. Do you like it? Going back and spinning some more and then working with it. Do you like it? That kind of process is what we're working with. So that is the weave along. Now, community, just really want to quickly remind you that we have this community forum space where everybody can come and share the things that you are working on, share discussions, questions, all of this stuff is in the community forums inside the School of Sweet Georgia. So that is the link, schoolofsweetgeorgia.com/community. Gets you into everything. One of the big things that we have in there, I'll talk about it here. One of the big things that we have inside the community forums is this whole area about learning plans. And learning plan is really just you sitting down and writing out what it is that you want to do. What are your goals? What would you like to accomplish? What do you want to focus on? And now being September, it's a couple of months from the end of the year. This is a good time to sort of check in with yourself. Have you been doing the things that you've been wanting to do? Have you been sidetracked? Have you gone down a different rabbit hole altogether? Are you interested in learning something else? So checking in with your learning plan every couple of months is always a great idea. And so I stumbled on two really interesting learning plans recently. And so one of them is Leanne's learning plan. I put a link to that here. And her topic was Leanne's learning plan and Sankalpa. Also, do I want to shear sheep? And Sankalpa, I had to look it up, but it is a Sanskrit word for intention or resolution. And so Leanne lists a whole bunch of spinning goals. She has yarn dyeing goals. She has design goals and things like that. But one of her goals for spinning is to be knowledgeable enough to eventually be able to spin effortlessly any yarn that I choose. And I feel like that is a wonderful sort of focus to have at the end, to be able to develop all of the skill and the nuance and the mastery over your hands, over your fiber, so that at the end of the day, you can create whatever it is you have a mind to create. And that I thought was a really, really a lovely way of putting it. And then we also had a new member, Tyler, who shared some of his goals as well in his new member introduction post. And a lot of his were about the idea of, he's been a knitter, he has crocheted, but currently he's kind of on a weaving high right now. And he's like recently received a couple of different looms. He's very, very much interested in weaving. And so I encourage you to go check out that particular thread because there's a lot of conversation. There's a beautiful posts. He's weaving beautiful things. He's talking about how his eventual goal is to learn enough skills to become sort of a production weaver and textile artist. And so going more towards becoming a professional in this area of the fiber arts. And so I welcome Tyler to the school, and I'm just really, really interested in seeing everybody's journeys. Everybody's place is different, everybody's path is different, and it's just so cool to see the evolution of what you learn, what you make, and what you're interested in. So I wanted to highlight that part of it. Before we go on to that, also wanted to remind you about the Discord chat. So there are these two places where we can connect. One is the community forums inside the school, and one is the Discord chat. Discord is a whole separate sort of app. And so you download the app to your phone or to your computer. And then when you sign on, you're able to send like a little bit more like chat messages back and forth. And so there's a lot of chat in here. You can see in the spinning group, there's people posting photos, hand spun yarn, things on the bobbin, things that are washed, all sorts of stuff. And so Discord is a really nice way to have that really quick conversation, quick chat, send a quick photo. The forums, we sort of see a lot more in-depth conversations, a lot more in-depth discussions about things happening. But I wanted to remind you about those two places. And finally, the share your wins section. This is amazing. So you can see this is from Amanda. Amanda has dyed this triangle of fiber. That's a lot of different samples, a lot of formulas. And so this is an exercise that comes from the Dyeing Intentional Color course that we do, being able to mix and dye a dyeing triangle. And if you want to look up the course, this is the link to the course. But this is an amazing amount of work. So congratulations to Amanda for doing this. She also said that she completed the triangle, hopefully getting closer to achieving the results that I want when dyeing fiber. And oh, I added a few extra yellows, and I thought that those were really, really pretty. So yes, you can follow this thread if you want to sort of check out the other things that Amanda has been dyeing as well. I also wanted to share this one because we talked about this last month. This is Emily. She basically took red, yellow, blue, black, and white, and then took those 5 colors, hand carded them into Rolags to mix and blend and create all of these different colors. And so you can see, like, on this right-hand side, these are all colors mixed with white, and then this side, this is colors mixed with some black, and just like the beautiful heathered sort of tonal effects that come out of this. But now there's a follow-up because we wanted to share that she spun the yarn out of it. And so spun the yarn and then plied it with a dark color or applied it with a light color. And you can see the same colors, but just plied with black versus plied with white. They create a completely different effect. Right? Completely different effect. And so all of this experimentation is super interesting to observe and watch. And yeah, if you're interested in doing something similar, these are all techniques and ideas that have been talked about by Diana Twiss. So she is our instructor for color and fiber play. There's two versions of that class. There's color and fiber play 1, color and fiber play 2, which is an expansion, be able to extrapolate your experiments into larger quantities. So that is a really cool way to explore things. The next one I wanted to quickly share with you is from Kate. So I was so tickled by this photo because this is a photo of her e-spinner. This is the EEW6 from Dreaming Robots. And she has it on one of these rolling carts, just the same way that I do, except she has this cool little container here that hangs off the side of the cart for holding, bits and bobs and tools and things like that. But I love this. The e-spinner on the rolling cart idea is fantastic. This is how I have my cart set up at home as well. But in this particular photo, she says that she's spinning alpaca here from a dyed alpaca fleece. She's planning to make a chain plied fingering weight yarn. But that looks really fluffy and beautiful down here. So that is the alpaca that she is working on. And then I have a photo here as well of the spinning up a level exercises that she's been working on. So spinning up a level is a spinning course that was taught by Katrina Stewart for us. And it is really about, maybe you know how to spin a continuous thread now. You can make a yarn, you know how to ply yarn, but then what next? And so Katrina really works through a number of exercises on different drafting techniques, like what is short forward draft? What is short backward draft? What is long draw? What is spinning from the fold? All of these kinds of techniques. And you use the same kind of fiber, the same fiber prep, and then you work through and do all of these different drafting techniques. And then you kind of like think about what do you like best, what's worked for you, what's not worked for you, what was most difficult. And this is really just a way of improving overall your spinning skill. And so Greta had sent a bit of a comment in that thread talking about like how she likes to repeat this exercise maybe once every 12 to 18 months, because you can actually see your progress. If you've been spinning, short forward and it's your first time spinning, or no, like spinning from the fold, it's your first time spinning from the fold, it might feel a little bit awkward, might feel a little bit clumsy, but then if you come back to it after a year, you're like, oh, I can do this no problem. This is way more comfortable. And you just develop more and more skill around all of this. It's all in your hands. So yes, I encourage you guys to check that one out too. This one is, oh, this is not dyeing a color wheel. This is, Gesine has been spinning by mixing some colors together to make a yarn that will match this skein of yarn that she has up here. So she received this beautiful hand-dyed skein of yarn and she wanted a way to use that. And so what she's done is she's been mixing and blending fibers together, mixing orange 40%, yellow 40%, and black 20%. This is all merino. And she's been blending it with this blending board. And you can see there's lots and lots of photos of this entire process. But then again, this is techniques and ideas from Diana's color and fiber play 2. And then you can see this is the yarn that she is spinning from it. So this is the yarn, and this is, she actually has a finished skein photo as well in that particular thread. And you can see those are going to combine really, really well together. So thank you so much for sharing your beautiful photos here with this merino yarn. I love how like that little tiny bit of black just adds a cool richness and kind of mutes down the yellow without making it like green or anything like that. It's just nice and warm now. And finally, this photo, this is from Linda. Linda said the photo is posted sideways, but that's okay because I can still get it. But this is, again, this is a spinner. It looks like a starling, a Daedalus starling. I'm not super familiar with the Daedalus e-spinners, but that looks like a really cool e-spinner. But she's basically taken a braid of fiber and she splits the braid 4 ways. And so she's trying to split she's trying to make a 4-ply yarn. And so she's taken the fiber, split it into 4 segments vertically. And then she'll take one of the segments and then she'll break that up again a little bit to break up the sameness of all the other plies. Because if you're going to spin them all onto bobbins, then you're going to overall have most of the colors kind of realign together, and then you'll end up with those stripy sections again. But by taking one of the segments and splitting it multiple times again, and then recombining that, then you're going to get a little bit of mixing and blending, almost like a fractal would, but like a really subtle fractal yarn. So that was really interesting because I'd never considered doing it that way. When I just spin fractal yarn, I kind of just do the traditional fractal splits. So it's like lots of different ways of thinking about how you might split your yarns. I mean, nobody said that you had to use one segment for one single and then take the other one and split that one in half and take the other one and split that one in 4. Like maybe you split that one in 8, maybe you split it into 16, maybe you split this one into 3. Like there's lots of different ways that you can do these things as you split your fiber and recombine them for color management ideas. Lori's just asking what kind of rolling cart is used for the spinner. So just a quick going back to this photo here. I'm not sure if that is the exact same one that I have, but the one that I have is just the IKEA cart. It's called Raskog, Raskog, and it comes in a bunch of different colors. It has 3 different levels, and so I put my e-spinner on the top level, and then on the second level, then I can put like tools, bobbins, spare bobbins, stuff like that. And then on the bottom, I might have like fiber that I'm working on or a project that I've half spun, all of those kinds of things. So I feel like it's a really super convenient way of keeping my e-spinner around the house. But obviously there are lots of other ways of doing this too. And that was it for today. And so, yeah, I wanted to thank you guys all for being here. Wanted to thank you guys for spending your time. I want to thank you for being a part of the school. And so, if there's ever anything that you want to reach out to me about, you can most definitely message me in the forums, and then you can just write me a message in there, and I'll be able to see it and reply back to you. And yeah, I'm very excited for the upcoming calendar as well. I'm very excited for this whole year coming forward and just being able to consolidate a lot of things that we do so we can all be on the same page. We are all in the same community. It is so wonderful to be able to see all the posts that everybody's made, all the things that you've shared, all the learning that's happening. Every time I read sort of like a new member introduction message, I'm always so blown away by this representation of so many people who are on this similar journey, that you learned to knit when you were a kid, or you learned to crochet, and then you learned this, and then you learned this, and now you're interested in this. And this is exactly the place. This is exactly the place that we are creating, is for everyone who has these multiple interests in the fiber arts, because I don't feel like they're individual silos. I feel like this is a long continuum of lifelong learning. I think that if you have this joy of working with materials and fibers and yarns, and you've had this, I don't think it ever goes away. I feel like it's just always something new to explore with the passion and the love that you have for yarn and fiber. So I appreciate you guys all being here. We're doing this journey together. And yes, if you ever have, yes, exactly, I'm with my peeps. That is exactly what it is. So thank you guys so much for being here. If you would like to access Discord, we'll send a message out as well about, we have a link for how to connect with Discord as well. We'll put that in the link. Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I will see you guys next month, the last Thursday of every month, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right. See you guys soon. Bye for now.